Good morning. Good 2:28 a.m. in Florida morning. I know some of you are just getting up to go to work. UK and Blonde Savage, and their time it's going to be about 7:30 in the morning. I probably could have caught you on live, but I wanted to do this because I love to read my chat. I love to go back and forth with you guys, and this to begin with, I'd like to say good morning, good evening. I know some of you are still sleeping. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful Friday. And for the ones I won't catch later, I'm going to try to go live. But this video is for educational purposes only. And it's definitely educational. And we're going to talk about narcissistic behavior and what narcissism is. And so people who may have narcissism, it's part of the mental health, it's a mental illness. You can get help for it. There's people who may be, trying to figure out, what's going on with their new friend or what's going on with a family member, and you need to learn the signs. So I've done my research, and I just wanted to get on here and do this video, upload it, and that way it gives y'all time without us having to re-chat and, me going back and forth, because, guys, you all know that you guys been with me from the beginning. You ones that's been with me from the beginning know that I get off track, and that doesn't bother me as far as that goes. But I figured I'd just do this video, and that way you guys can sit back, put your earpods in, your earbuds, whatever. Excuse my voice. It's 2:30 in the morning. I am getting tired now. I need to get to bed so I can get up and see y'all. Hopefully by 10 a.m. Hopefully. I'm going to try to go spend some time with my granddaughter tomorrow at the park. But I want to see you guys too. So here we go. Narcissism is a personality trait. Okay? Narcissistic behavior, the definition is a person whom has excessive interest in or admiration of themselves. The world revolves around them. Okay. They admire themselves more than they admire anything. It's, people who love themselves more than anything. Yes, love yourself, but you have to, spread the love. They just admire self. Everything revolves around them. The easy identifiable signs. Number one is a great sense of self-importance. If you know someone who has a great sense of self-importance, it's like, my goodness, it's just excessive. These are signs. Persistent fantasies about unlimited success and power. They fantasize about having, or lie and say they have, all this success and power, and they really don't, but they fantasize about it. Something they want that they don't have, maybe they can't get, or they're just not willing to work for it. A belief that they are special or unique and can only be understood by or should associate with similar high-status people or organizations. So they feel like they're way on top and they can't hang out with anybody down here. They got to be way up here. And then when they get way up here with the higher organizations and these higher-end people, they got to be higher. Okay? So, their constant need for admiration, attention, and praise. They constantly need to be admired. They constantly need to be praised. And God forbid if you don't. And the sense of entitlement, and they expect special treatment. So then you have malignant narcissism. Okay, and I'm learning about this. This is newer to me. But people with malignant narcissism tend to have a darker side to their self-absorption. These people are highly manipulative. Okay, and a lot of these are, things I learned and, my examples. And they don't care whom they hurt as long as they get their way. There are different types. You have grandiose narcissism, which requires excessive praise and attention. And then you have vulnerable narcissism. It feels like my voice is going out. They tend to have a lot of anxiety and need a lot of supportive attention. Among the different types of people with, among all the different types, people with malignant narcissism are far more harmful to other people. A social psychologist called people with this type of narcissism quintessence of evil. Wow. So malignant narcissism is worse. It's the worst one of all. People with this subtype of narcissism, which is the malignant narcissism, contain the general traits of antisocial traits and even a sadistic streak and lack of empathy. Often some paranormal, I can't even say the word, guys, I'm sorry. It's, often with this malignant narcissism, they're paranoid. It's involved with the malignant narcissism. Okay? That's what I'm trying to say. Then you have like the antisocial personality disorder. They must have a pattern of disregard for the rights of others and have at least 3 of these symptoms, which I have 6 symptoms. So 1, disregard of safety of self and others. They must have 1 of 3 to have the antisocial personality with the malignant narcissism. Number 2 is failure to obey laws or social norms. 3, impulsive behavior. 4, irritability or aggression. 5, lying or manipulating others for profit or amusement. So to gain something or just to be amused by it. And number 6 is their pattern of being irresponsible. So they have to have 3 of the 6. How narcissistic blame and abuse others for their own shortcomings. This is where this is important. People with strong narcissistic tendencies and other dark personality traits tend to blame others for their own bad behavior. So they lie. They accuse others of lying. They are cruel. They will say others are cruel. So this is like the examples. They are cruel, but they'll say others are cruel. So basically what I'm saying is when I say they are this, they are that, basically they're denying that they are, and they're saying that person is. So when you say you're cruel, no, you're cruel. Will you steal? No, I don't. You steal. Will you scam? Well, then they start pointing out other people that steal or blaming other people for stealing and scamming because they were called out for stealing or scamming. They will be quick to accuse others of stealing and scamming to get the eyes off of them. So if you call someone out and you can have the facts and slap them in the face with it, they're going to deflect. They're going to get the attention off of them. They never take responsibility, and it's always everyone else's fault. Besides, I'm sorry, guys. Of course, I don't have my glasses on either. So, besides describing their undesirable character traits to others, they will attribute the good characteristics of others to themselves. So they will take, say you've got Sally and Lisa, or say John and Jane, Jack and Jill. Take Jack and Jill. So Jack's a good guy, and Jill, they'll pull his good traits, and she'll pull his good traits and his characteristics, his personality. He's a good guy. So they will attribute the good traits and characteristics of other people onto themselves because they don't feel good. So they got to, make themselves try to believe that they're like as good or better than these others. An example was if they see someone being nice, they will say, oh, no, they are not nice, but I'm nice. So we're all in a conversation going, she is so sweet. We really know how she's not. Now me, I'm nice. So that's an example of pulling away from everyone sees that Jane is nice, but Sally's going, oh, hell no, but Sally is not nice. She wants to pull that characterization out of that nice person to attribute it to herself. So, or if they see someone as successful and happy, they will say that person's just a loser. And they're fake. But me, I'm successful and I'm extremely happy. I'm authentic. They are so much better than everyone else in their mind. In their mind, they are so much better. And that's still in that attributing the characterizations of the good person, the actual successful person. People driving the nice cars. You have a 92 and they have a 2021. I mean, they're crappy. And, my car, I bet you my car will still outlive their, it's always, you got to pull the good out of something because you feel something about your physical self that you got to, the only way you can feel good is by taking the good from somebody else and making them feel crappy, which is manipulating as well. And they cannot stand to see others doing good or better than them. Even though they're down in the dump and they're not doing nowhere near as good as, Jack is, Sam is he's gonna, imagine it's a fantasy, okay? So basically they have a nicer, newer car, a home, a job, clothes, etc. They will say things like, they driving around with daddy's money, or who did they know, or what did they have to do to get that job in that position. Nobody out here just earned it and, they worked their whole life for it to drive that Lamborghini. They bought it. They worked their whole life. They started bagging groceries at the grocery store and they did something with their life because you have something wrong with you. If you are a narcissistic person, it's nothing, there's nothing wrong with you. And to make yourself feel good is to take away from the good. So, you can be eating dinner with a narcissistic person, of say a bunch of females, having a couple of glasses of wine and having, a meal together. And the group says, she is such a beautiful woman. Where in the hell do y'all see that? These are the signs you need to look for, because if you have a friend or family member or your partner or you have these are adults. They say 18 and older, but, you start seeing these signs, these are red flags and you need to either get help if it's you doing it or, maybe talk to the person you start seeing these flags. Don't fall prey to, manipulating narcissistic people. They call these malignant narcissistic people. A psychologist would call it projection. They're projecting it away, the bad away from them, and they're trying to pull the good away from you to make people think that, Jane's a good person, but the narcissistic, Sally wants everybody to believe she's not. So there's an example. So there's a young boy who had a defect with his ears. When he was born, he had a defect with his ears. So he started bullying other children about their ears, which there was nothing wrong with these other children's ears. But he deflected, his physical. He had a defect, a birth defect, a disability or something going on that his ears look different. Not even a disability, but because when he sees himself in the mirror and the pain he feels because he feels his ears look funny, it makes him feel better and deflects away from him and projects that pain that he feels onto these other children. So he becomes bullying these other children and hurting these other children and making them feel like there's something wrong with their ears. When in all actuality, the little boy that was born with defected ears, there's nothing wrong with him either. But of course, when we see people that have a pointy nose, they want to go get surgery, or your one eye looks different than the other, or your fingers, or you're born and say you're missing half of your hand. That's the way you're made. But of course, we see ourselves, we look funny, and you get this anxiety that people are looking at you, and if somebody happens to go, you automatically think they're talking about you, and they may not be. They could just be talking amongst themselves. But it's deflecting, projecting that away. So he would attribute his undesirable physical trait, his undesirable. He's not desirable. I mean, he's upset about this birth defects with his ears. So he's going to attribute and put his pain, his undesirable physical trait onto others and then attack them for it. They put their insecurities onto others. My pain is your pain kind of thought. If I have to feel this pain, you're going to feel this pain. And literally, I know people like this. It's sickening and disgusting that they think it's okay to treat people like this. And then these people, there's nothing wrong with their ears. And these kids, their parents, they don't catch on to it. They grow up and they're always looking at their ears and they're keeping their hair because something that happened to them when they were younger. And there's really wasn't nothing wrong with the boy that was being the bully. His ears looked different. So it's truly not doing anything to help him, but at the time it's deflecting the pain off of him and attributing that to somebody else. Acting out is what they are suffering through by making others suffer. So they're acting out what they're suffering through, whatever it is. If it's a physical thing, a mental thing, something going on inside, what malignant narcissistic people, they're acting out what they're feeling to give themselves a break. It's kind of like someone who self-medicates or someone who drinks. They're sad, they're depressed, they drink, and as I've always said, it's not going to change. It'll either make things worse, it's going to be the same in the morning. Same thing. But for the moment, it makes them feel better to attribute that pain onto someone and make them feel bad. So manipulation tactics, these are things you have to look for. By deflecting focus off of them and their wrongdoings, the manipulator will think that others will forget about what happened. The example of this is, don't look at me. Look at this shiny thing in my hand. So they're deflecting attention off of them onto this beautiful diamond ring or this new shiny stone. It's deflection. Always look for that. When the attention is brought onto them, shit's going to hit the fan. Number 2, putting others into defense mode. Instead of addressing others' concerns. So Mary comes to Jill with a concern. Instead of them addressing their concerns, admitting their wrongs, examining problematic behavior, etc., the manipulator will attack Mary. Jill's going to attack me. By doing so, they hope to accomplish 2 things: to deflect the attention away from them and make themselves look better by making you look bad for even bringing it up. And a lot of people, if you don't know these signs, there's people putting up with narcissistic behavior from family and their friends and their partners, and they need to know these signs. And it's natural for people to respond to criticism by explaining themselves. So now I have been, I'm being attacked and jumped on because I come to you, and that happens in a lot of situations. You involve yourself or you try to approach somebody. So me, like when I start seeing these narcissistic behaviors, I get away from them. So then you start explaining yourself. You're the victim. This is what the manipulator wants. If you challenge a manipulator, a narcissistic person, an abusive behavior, they will attack you or someone else in hopes that you... Okay, hold on. Oh, in hopes that you will stop examining them and start defending yourself, questioning yourself. Called, they have turned the tables on you and you're left feeling at fault. Do not fall for this. Lying to look better. I'm not sure. They project their flaws and moral shortcomings on others, lack personal responsibility, or they bluntly lie. They are doing this because they are trying to hide their undesirable characteristics or inflate their false image. They've made a false image about themselves. They've trapped and struggling in their own web of lies and deception, but being they're adults who hurt others, including children, it's disgusting, pathetic, obvious, and tragic. Narcissistic sociopaths, psychopaths, and others with dark personality traits think that others are stupid and only they are very clever. In some ways, they can be quite cunning. However, if you're familiar with this type of behavior, It is senseless and pathetic when you see them try to hide reality. When you know the signs and call them out, shit's gonna hit the fan. Abusers prey on the weak and confused. Pay attention, guys. So, the stronger your sense of self is, the less apt you are to be gaslit and manipulated. Okay? Lying to look better. Narcissistic manipulators try to make themselves look better by putting others down. If others look worse than me, then I will look better than I really am. They also talk explicitly about themselves in an exaggerated and unnatural way. Pay attention to those signs. They're talking way that too good to be true. All humans have been through that. We've all said that's a little too good to be true. So they're over exaggerating. It's just unnatural the way people just talk about it. They love themselves too much. They brag about how much they have and everything is better than what someone else has. The main mechanism here is lying, or at least gross exaggerating, making the story way, way bigger than it truly is. They will add to it. If they have any accomplishments, if a manipulator or a narcissistic person has any achievements or accomplishments, they're going to take this accomplishment or achievement that they have, they're going to make it way bigger, they're going to add to it, and it's really just a lie. If you don't know the signs, basically, like I can make an example. A lot of parents will do the CPR training class. The health department gets you a little CPR training card. If you watch other people's kids, sometimes babysit children, parents say, "Are you CPR trained?" It's a simple thing. It's just like that. You get it. You're done. Well, they'll say, "Oh, I got my card. I'm CPR trained." Yeah, I've worked. I used to be an EMS and paramedic. That's what I'm saying. That little card, that little short hour, 2 hour class. Now they're way bigger and they're actually fixed to be a surgeon. They went from being a CPR class to being a paramedic. Now they're going into neurology. They're going to be a neurosurgeon. And it's all lies. And it's probably not even their card. That's what I'm saying. There's something about their characteristic traits that they don't feel good about themselves. They have to do everything they can to take away from you. So if you don't know the signs, even if you're suspicious, you will give them the benefit of the doubt until you learn that everything they're saying is a lie. And you will eventually learn pretty much everything they've ever told you. You will feel deceived. You will feel deceived. And these are my words. I've been there. Then they will go to victim blaming and playing the victim. Narcissistic manipulators are fake, fragile, and cowards. Fake, fragile, and cowards. They will not stand up to you when they're called out. They'll make you feel like you're the victim. Actually becomes, you're the bad guy. The bad guy's the victim. They pretend to be strong while calling others weak and sensitive. They bully and abuse people. But if you challenge them about the lies or you stand up to them for yourself, sorry about that. If you stand up to them or if you stand up for yourself, immediately they start playing the fragile victim. I'm being attacked. These are examples. You will hear this from a manipulator and a malignant, narcissistic person, sociopath. I'm being attacked. They're being mean to me. I'm being bullied. They play the victim, twist the story to fit their narrative. Those are my words. Every time it happens. Shamelessly blame the true victims, saying they deserved it, or gaslight them by claiming that, what happens there was their fault in the first place. So, the victim blaming. I think this was yeah. So, those are manipulating tactics. So don't fall prey. Do not fall prey to that. I can't believe we went over it that fast. Wow. That was pretty quick. So everybody, and we can go over this again. If y'all have questions, we can do it live. But to summarize, do not fall prey and learn the signs. So to summarize, anyone with strong narcissistic traits are unwilling and unable to reflect on their shortcomings and destructive behavior. As a result, they will project blame and manipulate others to cope with their low, shaky self-esteem. Manipulation tactics include deflecting, attacking and putting others in a defense mode, lying about others being worse than them, and them being better. You're just jealous because I'm better than you. Playing the victim by resolving your own. This is what I want you guys to hear. So this is what you have to do. That's why I summarized it. Last but not least, listen closely so you can learn to catch these traits. These are dangerous people and they will destroy you second by second. By resolving your own trauma and developing a stronger sense of self, you can and will become less prone to manipulation and narcissistic abuse. Okay? So a lot of times when we fall prey, it all falls into why we're here. We're survivors. We have victims learning how to survive. Us survivors are working every day. It's still a job every day to just get up and go. So we are prey to people like this that have these mental illnesses. The sociopaths, psychopaths, malignant narcissism. There's different types, but that malignant narcissism is the most dangerous. They will destroy you with their words. They're not people who just go around hitting and fighting physically. They will make you feel, if you're vulnerable to these type of people, there will be, you're just saying, hey, I seen you on YouTube and I'm calling you out. I'm not being mean. And y'all seen I've did that. I'm an example. But if you also seen how I handled it, 10, 15, 20 years ago, I would have fell prey. And I was this person to my abuser, to, during DV. Well, could I have done something different? Was the bread a little too done? Was the chicken a little red at the bone? You'll always question yourself, so pay close attention. Write this down. Stop the video. Slowly go through it and write it down. Remind yourself, by resolving your own trauma and developing a stronger sense of self, yourself, you can and you will become less prone to manipulation and narcissistic abuse. Anybody that's going through this and you want to talk about this, I've been working on this a while. I got a lot of sheets here, but I wanted to go through this with everybody because I wanted everyone to understand that, we know people like this, whether it's on YouTube or, what have you. I do have a video 1 out of 2 before this one that if anybody's looking for like some online counseling, where you don't have to go down to the therapist, and I'm thinking about checking into it because I quit going to my therapist, and things that are going on in my personal life right now. It does mess with my sleep, and I do have depression and anxiety and PTSD, so, I pulled these up. I'm thinking about maybe checking out the BetterHelp website. I did put a first video out above this one. But like I said, I just want to put this out. And that way you actually have a video and not a live where we're going back and forth and getting off track. Because UK, truth be told, had asked me to maybe do a live on the lasting effects of mental, verbal, and emotional abuse. Which mental and emotional abuse pretty much, they all kind of go together. So the lasting effects of those types of abuse and what it does to us and So, like I said, people manipulate, gaslight you. Know the signs. Watch the video when we jump on live. All my surviving sisters and brothers, I'm always praying for you guys. I hope you're all doing well. It is now like 2:50, I think, my time. I'm trying to get a couple hours of rest if I can. But I just wanted to put this out for educational purposes. And anybody who's looking for a little counseling, a little push, a little shove, sometimes it's easier to talk to someone that you don't know. Not saying, I like to talk to people who's been through what I've been through, but also sometimes it's easier to just, they may not been through what you've been through, but they can try to understand and help you. And I'm living proof of that. That's why I'm sitting right here right now and doing this. I'm researching and knowing what I learned these signs a long time ago. It took me more years of my life. I'm 45, and it took me a third of that to learn it, but I did learn those traits. Gaslighting people, always making people feel wrong. And you guys are going to watch this. And you're going to say, oh, I know someone. Oh, you know what? My neighbor down the road. You know what? I knew there was something. But you have to deal with your own trauma and your own self-worth. And then once you have dealt with your pain, it will help you understand how not to you'll see those red flags, and don't let other people make you question yourself. Because you're offering to help someone, you shouldn't end up in the conversation feeling guilty, or, and that's gaslighting and manipulating you. And one thing that's hard to do is manipulate me. Come at me straight. Don't come at me sideways. God bless you all. I hope you all are having a good night's sleep. And for the ones that are already up, is UK and Blonde Savage is probably up moving around since it's about 8 o'clock their time. Hopefully I can jump on about 9, 10 o'clock. My daughter's supposed to come over, supposed to maybe go to the park or something with my grandbaby, and then they're going to Busch Gardens for the end of spring break. So God bless all my surviving sisters and brothers. And to end this, I'd like to say again, UK, we'll talk more on live, but I went to your page and I love the Devoted Survivors family thumbnail. God bless you all. I love you all. Thank you all for being a part of our home. This is not our page. This is our home. This is our safe place. This is the place we can laugh and cry and talk about our stories and learn things educational, build ourselves together. But only you can make you happy. No one else can do that. So I love you all. Stay sweet and strong. And I hope to see you all in a couple hours on a live. Let's see what we can talk about. God bless you all. I'll be praying for everyone. Night, night.